ambitious design, instant death traps, and the two deadly sins of a PlayStation 1 game. This is O.D.T. O.D.T. Escape or Die Trying is an action-adventure game released in the late 1998 for the PlayStation 1 and PC. Developed by FDI, Froggies did it, or better known as Psygnosis France. So it's a Psygnosis game. There was supposed to be a Nintendo 64 version of the game, but it was never released. However, there were two final builds of this N64 version, and one of these builds can actually be found on the internet and played through an emulator. Many of you may remember Psygnosis from developing critically acclaimed games such as Colony Wars and Wipeout. And some of you may remember them developing not so enjoyable games such as Crazy Ivan, Overboard, and Cyberdeck. Nonetheless, their catalog of developed and published games is just massive, and the fingerprint of Psygnosis in the 80s and 90s cannot be understated. Lemmings, for example, was published by Psygnosis. Greetings, dear viewer, I am Hypo. Grab a snack and relax, because in this video we are going to take a look at O.D.T. Escape or Die Trying for the original PlayStation. So, how was it? A funny thing about this game is the name itself. In North America it's called Escape or Die Trying, but in Europe it's just called O.D.T. So does this game imply that we in Europe have no chance of escaping? Whatever it is that we're trying to escape from? Or can we just assume that we Europeans are just going to die trying? Or should the North American version be called EODT? O.D.T. offers a couple of characters to choose from. There are 4 unique characters with edgy flavor texts: Ike Hawkins, Julia Chase, Max Havoc, with a spelling error promising us fun times ahead, and finally we have Solar. With cheat codes we can unlock 2 more characters, who most likely will have nothing to do with the story itself, because they can only be unlocked with specific codes. This playthrough will be done as Ike.
Ship's log of the Nautiflyus, 26th Aventagium, under the authority of Captain Lamat. Since we took flight 7 moons ago, the crossing has been without incident. As time is now pressing, we are forced to fly over uncharted regions. Our mission has one aim: to end the deadly epidemic using the Green Pearl's power. The Pearl shows signs of magnetic activity, though I pray this will not disrupt our journey.
It seems that we are a crew with a mission to cure a deadly unspecified epidemic with the power of the Green Pearl. The Green Pearl begins to react when the crew flies over an uncharted territory called the Forbidden Zone. The Pearl's energies cause the ship to crash land and the game begins. This is the main character of the game's story, Captain Lamont. Unfortunately, we are unable to play as him. We are just a part of the ship's crew and our name or status will never be mentioned in the game. Our ship is severely damaged and the captain sends us to find some gas for our ship while the rest of the crew are fixing the ship. The adventure is on. O.D.T is a 3D action adventure game with role-playing elements tied to it. The controls follow the traditional tank control style and they feel a bit like Tomb Raider, except the jank is turned up to 11. And you can feel it very quickly. Normally, the tank controls feel very stiff, therefore the name tank controls. But in O.D.T, they feel very slippery. There's a real-time inventory system like Souls games, so remember you are not safe when dabbling with your inventory screen. There are vast amounts of different button combinations, and that means many actions to perform. The control schematics are a bit overwhelming in my opinion. The game manual itself explaining the controls is a bit lacking, and for comparison, here is a much more clear version of different possible control combinations from GameFAQs. So there are many different actions to perform. Very quickly you get a feeling that instead of this many actions, they should have just given more attention to the very basics. This amount of options will take some time to get used to, and we have to do quite a lot of trial and error to learn them. This is the first level of the game, the Nautiflyus. It serves as a tutorial level for the game. In-game itself, it is actually considered as level 0, so I assume it was intended to be a tutorial level to teach you the basics. Very early, we meet our first enemy, a bat. These bats circle around a designated position and are activated to attack you when you enter their zone. At this point of the game, they are hard to hit, but with timing, we can kick them. They deal low amounts of damage, but knock you back when you get hit. O.D.T has a Castlevania-styled knockback system. This means that whenever you get hit, your chosen character takes a jump back. This first bat is guarding a blue ammo pickup. There are in total 4 different weapon types, which are obtained at different times depending on the character of your choice. For example, Ike has blue one here and Solar has a green one. All characters specialize in different weapons and that affects their pickups in the map. More about the weapons later. This level introduces game mechanics to you with text boxes, which unfortunately will be overwritten very easily if you happen to pick up something else during the info text. You would also miss this info text if you didn't touch a specific location in the map where they are supposed to spawn. These red circles are energy pickups. They restore your health upon use, so let's think of them as potions. They are also used automatically if you take fatal damage and have at least one of them in your inventory. This is a handy thing and it will become useful in various spots in the game. These green arrows indicate a transition to another part in the level. Remember to use the ladders accordingly by tapping down and the square button. O.D.T rewards patient exploration. The tutorial level has plenty of ammo and energy pickups and a few extra lives. This is a great way to nudge the player to explore the area. These green lines on the ground are checkpoints. Whenever you die, you are sent to the last checkpoint you have touched, if you have extra lives remaining. Eventually, we come to a loud platform. We also meet Solar, who gives us an antidote. This antidote removes status effects inflicted by certain enemies. The loud platform itself is a save point. The save points are single use only and there may not be many of them in a level, and that's just horrifying. This reminds me of Tomb Raider's save crystals. In addition, some of them are hidden behind secret areas, so keep on exploring if you want to succeed. Here, I can see this save point through a wall. This is an unintended camera jank, allowing me to see through walls, and it's going to become my go-to way to search for secrets throughout the playthrough. So, I will be hugging walls every now and then to scout secrets in the level. O.D.T teaches us the hard way that some of the barrels are rigged with bombs and they deal massive damage to you upon exploding, and here I die for the first time. Sometimes identifying exploding ones can be a bit difficult, so if you want to be sure, just shoot them all from the distance. Dying here sends me back to the previous save point very nearby, so they work as checkpoints too. This game is filled with platforming sections where failure results in falling down and dying. The game is very precise in its jump controls. To take a full jump forward, you need to take 2 steps forward and press the jump button at the same time. If you take less than 2 steps, your character takes a small hop forward. This becomes a problem with tiny platforms, which will be a thing later on. Every jump revolving around instant deaths is a butt clencher. After exploring a while, we come back to the start of this level. The feeling of connectivity between the parts is good. You could see the previous parts of the level in the distance. These red arrows indicate the end of the level. When you reach the end of the level, you get a chance to save your game. So next up, the first real level.
The Pearl shielded us from complete disaster. However, it was clear that the ship had suffered severely, so I set the crew on reconnaissance while I remained to assess the extent of the damage.
With every level we finish, we get to see a cutscene, which develops the story further. This time, the captain gets ambushed, knocked out, and the green pearl is stolen by an unknown entity. A crew member tells us the captain has been kidnapped. He gives us a part of the pearl's container and tells us to find the rest ourselves. He also specifies us to bring at least 30 bottles of gas. So finally our goal has been solidified. It's a bit weird that this random guy is giving us this valuable information instead of the captain who gave us the orders in the first place. The music isn't really a fanfare to the ears. What we're getting is 4 notes looping throughout the whole stage. I'm not sure if this is better compared to the previous stage's looping wind and ambience. The game's soundtrack does not loop in a correct way, and it cuts abruptly when the music starts again from the beginning. There are some things needed to be considered when making a looping soundtrack, and it is not as self-explanatory as it may seem. This game most likely did not have a dedicated composer or sound engineer on a team, so a person doing something else in the team had to do it alongside their other responsibilities. This is the first level of the game, the roof. One of the first rooms already introduces us to some gas pickups. Remember that we need to find 30 bottles of gas during the game. One other thing we do need to remember is that whenever we finish a level and enter a new one, we are not getting a health refill. So you start a new level with the exact amount of health and resources you had when you finished the previous one. O.D.T has 2 usable damaging gadgets, grenades and mines. Ike starts with 5 grenades. These can be thrown in 3 different ways depending on how long you hold the throw button. The grenades are very bouncy and they can damage you too. This gate is locked and it can be unlocked with a white key. There's no visual indication whatsoever of what key unlocks the gate, so the only way to know is to touch the gate. Luckily, this white key can be found very close by. Keys are automatically used from your inventory when you touch the appropriate gate or a door. Here I didn't check out the outside area, so I'll take a quick trip there. There's a wooden door that can be unlocked with a blue key. No visual clues again. The outside area has a small jump-in section. In this section I make a misinput error and take a dip to the spikes. An instant death and I go back to the beginning of the level. At least now I have full health again. I attempt the jump-in section again and I'm awarded with an extra life. Back to 3 lives again. You start the game with 3 lives and when you run out of them, it's game over and you are sent back to the main menu. Time to check out the area I opened with that white key. Here we are greeted by a new enemy. This one looks like the one that knocked the captain unconscious in the cutscene. This enemy attacks you in 4-shot bursts. It can also duck underneath your shots. A clever enemy indeed. To beat it, you need to time your shots and dodge the enemy's shots. And this time it takes 4 hits to kill it. Your dodging has some iframes, also known as invulnerability frames, but they only work against projectiles. You can still be meleeed from your dodge roll. You automatically lock onto enemies when you're close to your target. You can also aim manually, which is useful. One of the boxes we blow up has a purple circle inside, which is a mana pickup. Mana allows us to cast spells in the game. At the moment, our character doesn't know any spells, so we are not benefiting from mana in any way. Fortunately, there's a green crystal nearby. These crystals are spells, and this one's an earth spell. There are 4 different spell types in the game. Green for earth, blue for water, white for air, and red for fire. By collecting these crystals, you can learn new spells or upgrade already learned ones. Next to that crystal, we learn about traps with paving stones and how to evade them. Have a look at the floor and jump over the stones. Simple. An enemy is guarding a blue power pickup. I try to use it and I'm told that I don't have enough weapon control to upgrade. So, let's talk about the leveling system. In O.D.T, there are 3 stats that you can level up: armor, weapon, and spirit. Armor increases your damage resistance, but upgrading armor does not affect the damage from traps and hazards. Weapon increases your weapon damage and also allows you to upgrade your ammo types further. And finally, Spirit increases your spellcasting and also allows you to learn more complex spells and upgrade them further. Characters are not the same, as there are certain unique thresholds that you can't go any further. Some characters are better with spells, some are better with guns, and some are tankier. In order to level up your character, you need experience points. Experience is gained from killing enemies and destroying obstacles. The ammo types can also be upgraded, but only with those upgrade pickups we just picked up. They have the same kind of maximum values as your stats, which depends on the character you play as. Time to pick up the blue key, which is located close by. With this, we have the means to unlock that wooden door in the beginning of the level. So we open the door and take an elevator down. Below, we meet a new enemy, a grenadier. This guy only throws grenades at us, and this one manages to surprise me because its grenades explode on contact, unlike ours. One of them hits me and I take massive damage and I die. So, armor value does not have an effect on grenades either. I see a save point, that's just great. I'm in dire need of one because there hasn't been one in this level yet, so thank you, game. It seems that the number of enemies has gone up. We're getting those gunmen and turrets piled together. In O.D.T, dealing with single enemy can be done fairly well, but dealing with multiple enemies at the same time, especially in the early game, can be difficult, so we need to be careful. This guy shoots us through the gate, which is a thing we cannot do ourselves. By the previous save point lies a watery area. Game teaches us that you can run in this shallow water. The water has no effect on our speed of movement and it just feels plain weird. Outside, we pick up a psyche. The function of this key at the moment is unknown. By the looks of it, there are multiple pieces to a key, so I guess the other pieces can be found later on. We kill more enemies outside to find more upgrades, ammunition and a yellow key. I wonder what door this key opens. The only way to know is to explore the area and keep on hugging doors and gates. It seems to open a gate nearby the psyche. We also pick up an earth spell that I cannot learn yet, as I have only leveled up my weapon skill. Maybe I should put some points on spirit eventually. There's a teleporter in the room which takes us to a new area of the level. This new area starts by introducing us to a cracked wall. These usually indicate optional secret areas, but this time you have to find it in order to progress, because it is the only way to get the black key. These breakable walls can be destroyed by kicking or using a weapon. If you're not sure if a wall can be destroyed, just hug the wall to confirm it. Pick up the black key and continue towards an acid bath section with small floating platforms and 2 enemies. We can also see a save point. This is the first occasion with cruel enemy placements. If you fight them at their level, they'll easily knock you down to the acid bath and you will perish quickly, so try to deal with them above the acid bath. Next to the save point is an exploding barrel that I do not recognize as an exploding one, and I die. Fortunately, the save point is right next to me and I decide to load the game to preserve my extra lives. Jump over the acid bath to unlock the gate with the black key. We come to a new area with new music. We can hear growling somewhere near. Standing on a platform in the middle opens a wall nearby. This is the first boss of the game, a hulking man of stone. The boss attacks us by throwing rocks at us and stomping on the ground. He also punches you if you're too close by. It can be damaged with any weapon. When you shoot the boss once, it takes damage and retaliates. Dodge the rocks and jump when he stomps the ground. Repeat until it falls. A cool thing about this boss are the 4 smaller platforms in the middle. If you manage to get the boss to throw rocks on them, you unlock 2 walls in the boss arena to reveal some ammo pickups. Here we discover the yellow ammo. It is a very basic flamethrower weapon. The boss goes down in a minute and we move on to the end of the stage. The developers have sometimes hidden pickups to the room after beating the boss, so keep your eyes open. Here's a fire spell and an extra life. To the next stage.
On waking, I found myself in front of an unusual being. Using strange means, he told me that long ago, his ancestors and their evil master reigned over my people from their floating palace in the sky. Eventually, they fought back, building a huge tower to reach and defeat the tyrant. Push.
The captain wakes up in a cell and his cellmate tells him about their history in slavery. These creatures were enslaved by a tyrant called Push. Eventually they defeated the tyrant to free themselves. Next level, the Refinery. This is a very long level and throughout the whole level we are graced to listen to the endless loop of percussive sounds of different tools, machinery, steam vents and such. Now this is my kind of jam. Here we see a console which tells us to insert a blue magnetic card. This console has a clear visual indicator of a blue color. I'm not complaining about this. Then we reach a large open room with 3 laser turrets that are very accurate and deal quite a lot of damage. They can be destroyed normally, or you can use a turret in the middle to destroy them safely. I take so much damage here, so I decide to load the game and start the level again. Attempt number 2. Take a straight run towards the middle tower and shoot the laser turrets. Oh, the sweet revenge. This room has the yellow card which is needed to progress further. This door has a clear yellow indicator in it. Does this mean that O.D.T has learned from its previous mistakes? Look at that, a new enemy, a big floating robot with a lot of health, and it shoots us with hot balls if we get too close to it. Guess what? Another new enemy, a robot without legs laying on an operating table. Their attacks can be completely evaded by moving close to it and grilling it with the yellow gun. One of them has the blue card needed at the beginning of the level. Grab the key and backtrack to the beginning. The blue key unlocks a metal door in front of the console that we needed to open in order to traverse the acid bath with a moving platform. Take the elevator down into the next section. I have to talk about the yellow flamethrower weapon a bit more. When you torch the enemy with it, the enemy stays on fire for a while, and if the enemy touches you while on fire, you take damage. This makes the flamethrower very janky, and it's very easy to get damage yourself, especially when the enemy dies and falls forward. Ain't that just lovely? In this part, we pull a lever and activate some very noisy drills. Just take a listen. This part is luckily very short. On one of the routes we find an enemy with a second piece of the psyche, and also a lever to progress forward. Time to take a noisy trip back to the beginning of the section. On the way back, we pick up a green card from a box. O.D.T is a bit inconsistent in placing key items to the map. Sometimes they are just found by exploring, sometimes they are found by killing a certain enemy, and sometimes they are found by destroying a certain object. The developers really want you to explore the areas thoroughly, so you don't miss anything. Unfortunately, the drilling continues for a bit longer in the next area. This area does teach us that the enemies are not immune to traps. Here we see a gunman get squashed by a drill, and that's a cool thing to me. Kill all the enemies, grab a white card, and drop to the next part. I got some good news, no more drills. But instead of drills, we are getting some of those good old tight jumping spots with some convenient enemy placements to knock you down to your death. This time those pesky enemies did not succeed. But I did fall off by my own hand. Next up, a branching path. I decide to take the stairs up. Here we meet the hanging bars. I take a sweet minute here trying to figure out how these work, and here's how they work. First, try to jump on them. Your character automatically grabs them close by when holding the circle button. Second, hold the circle button and press forward. If you only press forward, your character turns around. If you only press the circle button, your character just swings around. This is not explained in the manual at all. Remember the specific two-step running jump? Yeah, I forget it here and I'm sent back to the checkpoint. Eventually, I find a lever to activate the crane system. So, how do these cranes work? It is a taxi system which takes you across those pitch-black pits. Just look at the shadow underneath the crane, stand there, and enjoy the ride. Grab another card key, some power-ups, and an extra life. These are needed. Wanna take a guess what's next? Backtracking, of course, you silly. God damn this jumping part. The game is really trying to bend my back. Here, I'm getting ambushed by a save point, yet again. There's also a container piece, so let's grab that along and save the game. Time for more cranes. Here we can only see 3 cranes and darkness. But look at this! It's a map of some sort. I've no idea what the red dots mean, but this is most likely our way forward. So let's get on with it. If I'm correct with this, the middle one should take me to the next place. Well, it most certainly did take me all the way down. I guess I'm unable to read a map correctly. I suggest another solution. Use the manual aiming to scout ahead, and then pick the correct crane. This part does cleverly use the limited drawing distance of the PlayStation 1, so I'm giving them that at least. After the cranes comes another new area to explore. This level just never ends and the soundtrack makes me insane, so please, let me hear another piece of music. Here's a breakable wall, so let's check it out. Here we find a rocket that cannot be used from the inventory. I wonder what it will do. After exploring a while, we come to activate a few construction cranes. We need to rotate them so they'll make us a bridge forward. Rotating them is a bit slow, but I guess we can manage the weight. It takes a while to get them all aligned, but eventually the way forward is clear. Please let it be the boss already. Guess again, it's a box maze, filled with normal and explosive boxes. It's most of the time very clear which ones are exploding ones. Just break the boxes until you find the red arrow forward. The level still continues. This is absurd. This level is exponentially longer than the previous 2 levels combined. It is absolutely nonsensical that a 3rd level should be this long already. It's just whimsical. Well, believe it or not, but this is actually the final part before the boss, and it's another maze with narrow corridors and flame traps. The box maze was a child's play compared to this, because here everything looks the same. The objective is to find 2 hidden levers to open the doors to the boss. When you've found the levers, you need to find the doors that you opened. A map or any kind of marker system would be very appreciated here. It takes me a good 20 minutes wandering around this maze, but eventually I do find the way out. It's boss time, finally some new piece of music. By destroying a few barrels in front of us, we get another rocket. This is the boss of the level, a giant death robot. Its main attacks are homing missiles that are very accurate yet slow, so they can be outrun. The boss is meant to be defeated with those rockets you picked up earlier, by using them with a rocket launcher mounted on a wall. We also find a 3rd rocket near the rocket launcher. Shoot the boss twice with a rocket and it loses its arms and cannot shoot its missiles at you anymore. Now the boss tries to kick you and it can also use an electric beam to paralyze you. At this point, the boss can be damaged through normal means, but if you want to preserve your ammunition, you can use that 3rd rocket from the secret area to finish the boss. Good design here, with an alternative ways to deal with the boss. Again, O.D.T rewards an explorer. And finally, this level comes to an end.
The recovery of the green pearl was becoming an obsession. I had to escape. Though trapped, I realized the pearl had somehow affected me.
Out of the way! Get back!
Maybe this power could help me.
Meanwhile, the captain discovers mysterious powers bestowed upon him by the Pearl, and he manages to escape with his cellmate. I have to say that the cutscenes aren't really as bad as the game itself, although they don't really explode the story into unbelievable spheres of excitement. Next level, The Garden, an organic jungle level. Quite a radical change of a setting compared to the last level. My ears are thankful though. If the last level was mostly a long and linear experience, this level is all about branching paths. Of course, it's really about trial and error because every place looks very much the same. This level is mostly about its beginning area and its 4 branching pathways. You will most likely pick the wrong way multiple times during the level, and therefore you need to backtrack many times in order to find the correct route. Instant death spike traps are back again, and we also meet a new enemy, a small dinosaur that tries to take a bite of you. They're very easy to deal with, except they spawn perpetually from the sacks on the walls, so don't waste your ammo on them unless you have no other choices. In this level, you need to burn the plants blocking your way. Luckily, it doesn't matter which weapon you use on them. Unsurprisingly, the door behind the plants is locked, and we have to find another way. One of the ways has a door behind a spike trap. Well, it's locked, and now I'm trapped in a very bad place with glitchy camera angles and slippery controls. With a lucky jump, I managed to get away. After wandering around for a while, I find a breakable glass window. Take a ladder down and find yourself in a nightmarish jump part. Moving platforms, falling platforms, and bats to drop you off. Lady Luck was on my side and I managed to get through this part without a scratch. At least I'm rewarded with an extra life and a switch close by opens more paths to explore. Well, the problem is that I have to take the same route back. Oh, the joy. O.D.T really loves to toss in new mechanics that are not explained at all. You just have to try everything yourself. In this level, we learn that some doors can be destroyed, and they have to be destroyed in order to progress in the level. We're also introduced to a first secret area that is a trap. This one's behind a Psygnosis poster, so that'll teach us not to hate Psygnosis. So we cannot fully trust secret rooms from now on. Hey look, it's a Psyche piece. It looks like a very difficult jump, and you know what? It actually is. It is actually a very, very, very hard jump with these controls. So eventually, I find myself meeting the game over screen. I finally have the third psyche piece. So how do I get back? You can actually destroy the wall behind it, leading to a safe place. So I took the unintended hard way to the key. This is one of the reasons why you should scout often through the walls. More spikes, more moving platforms, and more butt clenching. Here's a new kind of power-up. It is a stat upgrade. This upgrades one of your stats a notch. Useful. But Houston, we have a problem. Our inventory is full. In O.D.T, your inventory has a limit. To battle this, we can drop items to the floor. If you like to hoard items in your inventory, you will be facing this problem multiple times during the game. Remember that gas, pearl container, and this psyche also take a slot from your inventory. In this particular situation, I'm punished for not leveling up my spirit stat because my inventory is full of spell crystals. Therefore, I need to begin leveling up my spirit. Here's a door with a triangular symbol. This is the end of the level. In order to open the door, we need to find 3 pieces of the key and also a cog to activate a lift leading to the door. So we need to backtrack again. Backtracking in O.D.T is starting to feel very tedious. I don't mind backtracking overall, but with this game, when there are multiple branching paths and everything looks the same, it's really not fun. Time for a tough enemy, a humanoid tree. They are big, tanky, and shoot very damaging projectiles, which at this point of the game erases about half of my health bar with a single shot. They're most likely one of the most dangerous enemies in the game. Fortunately, they can be stun-locked with the yellow weapon. The problem is that they're so tanky that this will take a lot of ammo. Defeating them drops a green ammo. The green weapon is one of the weaker weapons in the game. It's an electricity-typed weapon which can damage multiple enemies at the same time with relatively low damage. It is somewhat useful against smaller enemies like bats and those dinosaurs. Too bad it's not effective against the humanoid trees, because from this point forward we will be facing them non-stop and it takes a ton of my resources to kill them all. What if they have a piece of the key? I have to kill them all. At this point, I begin leveling up my spirit a bit more in order to get my inventory sorted. I learn a couple of spells such as healing, mana, blast, teleport, vampire, and shield. First piece of the triangular key is hidden in an exploding barrel. 1 down, 2 to go. Here I also discover that during the in-game cutscenes, the game is still active. You cannot move or take damage during the cutscene, but the enemies can actually move and they will gang you up until the cutscene is over. And this is just plain evil. Here's some blue gremlins. They're not much of a threat, but they need to be killed with the yellow ammo or they will get up again. Nearby I find a machine that I accidentally destroy when shooting exploding barrels. I wonder how could I have known that it can and needs to be destroyed. Lucky me. The machine deactivates vats nearby and one of the blue gremlins inside has the second piece of the key. A room with a glass tube. Here we learn that important pickups can actually be missed, so there has to be more than 30 bottles of gas in the game. I was a little bit stressed out about finding enough gas in order to finish the game, but this is a relief. Another water part. Here we learn that there's actually an oxygen mechanic too. It doesn't really matter at all because there are no water physics or hazards at all. Our character is the heaviest matter in existence and he ignores all the effects of water. We find another piece of container in a secret area on top of the watery area. The final part of the key can also be found nearby. The key is complete, so we just need to find that cog. While looking for the cog, we find an optional room which tells us that it looks like a monster generator. Here we have a minute or so to destroy 4 pylons to deactivate a laser grid guarding a machine that controls the dinosaur sacks in the level. This generator has a massive explosion radius that is very hard to evade, so you'll most likely take some damage or even fall off. Destroying the generator disables the dinosaur sacks. It's a bit of a weird design choice in my opinion, because the sacks are clearly organic, but they still were controlled by a machine. I'm not complaining though, because there are no more infinite enemies. This level is a damn maze and it takes a good 30 minutes or so for me to find the way forward. tackle a rotating blade trap corridor that isn't too hard, and find a cog puzzle. We need to take an unneeded brown cog from the wall. If we take a wrong one, the cogs stop rotating and the latch below us opens, dropping us to the sweet embrace of death. Take your time and solve it. There's no time limit. Now, time to backtrack all the way to the beginning of the whole level. Use the cog on the wall, pull a lever to activate the platform, take the ladder back up and jump on the platform you just raised. Why couldn't the platform just have been left up? This is just a waste of time. Boss time, and it's another humanoid tree. The boss itself is a slow behemoth that only uses melee attacks, but it spawns more of those dinosaurs. It's another gimmick fight because you cannot damage it normally. You need to activate an oil pump system nearby and break the hoses in the middle part to release the oil. By the way, those small dinosaurs are still ganging up on you during the in-game cutscene, so have fun. Oh, look at this! So the key is to lure the boss under an oil shower. You need to douse the boss 3 times and then you can damage it once with the yellow ammo. This area gives you enough ammo to beat the boss, but you still need to be careful spraying around. This boss is very long and tedious. To me, it's the weakest boss so far. It isn't particularly challenging, but it's very time consuming. Sometimes the flow of oil stops and you need to reactivate it again by turning the wheel. It's not a fun boss.
We were free. I was afraid of falling into an ambush, but my companion seemed to know the place like the back of his hand. Or just about.
Hold on, I'm coming, okay? Don't give up, okay? I'm coming. Don't worry.
The story doesn't progress a lot this time. The captain gets ambushed and imprisoned again. Stage 4, the jails. From robots to organic enemies and back again to robots. It feels like they had ideas for many levels and just ultimately mashed them together to form the game, with no consistency overall. I mean, there's just no sense with the previous jungle level. Hopefully, we will be getting a generic snow level, a water level, and a fire level. Who knows? Here's a secret room that doesn't really feel like a secret, but to the game it is. A new mechanic, crawling. It does take a while to figure out how to do it. This is actually explained in the manual and it's done by holding the square button R2 and holding forward. This is a secret area that has a mandatory program card and also a secret within a secret with some pickups. A new patrolling robot enemy. It has 3 target circles under it. If you step into the circles, it damages you. These robots aren't dangerous at all. In the middle, there is a robot with an open slot. The program card needs to be used there, so the robot can open you a way forward. The next section is a large open cell area. It has plenty of pickups, so take your time here. The main objective is to unlock a certain cell with a prisoner that knows the way out. Unlock all the cells by pulling the levers above the cells and follow the thankful prisoner to the new area. The difficulty curve of the game feels very weird. So far, this level has been very easy compared to the last 2 levels that spiked the difficulty into the stratosphere. The enemies are very manageable, no cruel death traps, plenty of resources to find, and it's not a maze anymore. It feels like the previous levels were made by the team's own sadist and this one's made by a gentle Frenchman. The prisoner asks us to help him release 4 of his friends, and this is the main objective of the level. A new enemy, the Blue Warden. This is a tanky melee-only enemy, not particularly dangerous. After wandering for a while in some optional areas, we follow the prisoner and arrive at a tomb of some sort. There are murals on the walls telling a story, and while investigating them, the gate behind us closes. Here we find multiple different shaped objects that are needed to free the prisoners. Pick up the objects and our inventory is full again. The items you've dropped on the ground never disappear, so we need to drop quite a lot of items here and come back to pick them up later. We need to push the lid of the sarcophagus open to reveal a new enemy, a spirit. The spirit can be only damaged through spells. That means you are punished heavily for not leveling up your spellcasting. Worst case scenario would be that you haven't found any damaging spells at all and therefore you effectively softlock the game. This is a one mean spirit with a damaging lightning spell. The prisoners are locked up in the area above the tomb. In order to unlock a cell, you have to place 2 correct objects on a multiple pressure plates found in the area. The pictures themselves don't always match the objects in your inventory, so you have to figure out how much each object weighs. The solution lies in the murals at the tomb. In my opinion, the murals are not easy to figure out, and I did the harder puzzles with trial and error. With wrong objects, you take a solid fifth of your health bar as damage. Some puzzles cannot be solved just yet because we are still lacking specific objects. Let's talk about the 4th and final weapon a bit. This is the grey weapon. It is a weapon that releases a couple of beams on the ground traveling forward. On hit, it deals some damage and stuns the enemy for a second or 2. During the stun, the enemy cannot take damage. With some timing, we can effectively stun lock some of the enemies in the game. Unfortunately, this weapon is weak against the enemies in this level. This is the Red Warden. These are just like the Blue Wardens, except they also attack with a stun gun, so keep your distance. These Red Wardens are special because they drop the missing objects to free the prisoners. This means we have to find them all and kill them. There are 4 in total. One of them also drops a special key needed somewhere. With all the objects in our inventory, we can free all the prisoners. Find some more secrets with cruel enemy placements to keep us on our toes. Remember that this is O.D.T. This secret has 2 gas bottles, so it's definitely a good find. After saving the prisoners and picking up our stuff from the tomb, we meet again with our friend. He gives us an earth spell and unlocks the other side of the gate. We need to use that special key to the other side. The spell he gave us upgrades our mana spell to the 2nd level. With this and level 3 healing spell, we achieve full self-sustainability. By spamming healing and mana spells, we can effectively heal ourselves to the full health. Using a mana spell converts our health as mana, and with healing we can convert mana to health. With level 3 healing spell and level 2 mana spell, the reward outweighs the loss. I'm definitely going to exploit this. After we open the gate, we are taken a prisoner. We are taken to a special cell, and all our items and spells have been taken away. I guess we were beaten so badly that we even forgot our spells. Our cell isn't too shabby as the walls can be destroyed with kicks. The idea is to activate a crane system over our cage, and we need to use that crane to drop off to the next part. There's also another piece of pearl container in this area. To destroy the inner cage, we need to use the turret nearby. In the next section, we reach a mortuary that has a hidden key in one of the cabinets. Most of the cabinets have those blue gremlins inside. Too bad all the cabinets look the same. Let's grab the key and run. Eventually we reach a storage building with multiple laser turrets. One of the boxes in the room has all our equipment. Feels like Tomb Raider 2, huh? Very soon after, I run into a blue power-up. I try to use it and the game tells me that I'm already on the top. This means my blue weapon is upgraded to the max, so no need to collect them anymore. Use the key from the mortuary to unlock the boss area. This level wasn't so bad. Time for the boss. It's a huge monster that has also been imprisoned here. The boss gives us a free spank for a taste after the cutscene ends because the enemies can move during the cutscene and you cannot. The boss is very simple. Attack it until it falls and remember to jump before it hits the ground to evade the aftershock. When the boss goes down, the platform descends. When this happens, find a revealed lever to remove a lock from the middle. Repeat this 4 times and the boss will take a dip into the lava. That's quite brutal.
I was beginning to understand. At last, forgotten elements of the Tenantzin history were becoming clearer. I realized my ancestors had beaten our push. Defeated his creatures, the deviants sheltered in the tower as the palace crumbled into the ocean and the men fled aboard our push's aerostat fleet. However, the Green Pearl's significance remained a mystery.
This time our captain learns that it was his ancestors who had beaten the tyrant in the past. Our enemies in the game are the tyrant's minions, the deviants. Next up, the kitchen. A very odd name to a level, but it is what it is. I have to admit that these deviants have a pretty luxurious kitchen. Ah, a new enemy. A spider that also shoots white projectiles. Not too dangerous, but very irritating. The green weapon is good against the smaller enemies. The kitchen introduces us with these hanging carcasses. They are mostly very easy to dodge, but they deal crazy amounts of damage if you touch them. Remember that leveling up armor stat does not affect traps or hazards. Also, a new mechanic. Pushing objects. Some of the objects in the game can be pushed forward. We are supposed to figure this out by taking a look at the blood trail on the floor. To push an object, just hug an object and hold forward. There are only few objects in the game that can be pushed. There's a fire spell below a ledge. I cannot lower myself there carefully because there's a safe platform over the spell. So I take a careful fall down and what do you know? I fall through the floor into lava. Next we take a trip through the freezer and level up some spells we were able to. Then we reach the main hub of the level, a lava pit with swinging carcasses. There doesn't seem to be any way to cross the lava pit. Pull a nearby lever to spawn platforms. I decide to explore other places for a while before tackling the lava pit. So it's another new enemy. This is the Butcher, a bulky fellow able to resist all conventional weapons. In range, he tosses cleavers towards you and he whacks you when close by. Time to cross the lava pit where every jump is just nerve-wracking. Hey, more evil enemy placements. A spider is waiting for me at the place I need to go. I tried to snipe this guy with the grenades, but it proves to be a bit too difficult, so balls to the walls it is. Luckily the spider misses me barely. New area, new music. What's this all about? Is it boss time already? Unfortunately not. For some reason this part has its own music track. It's a watery area. Maybe some sort of garbage area for the kitchen. This part has loads of resources to pick up with minimal enemy resistance, so that's fine by me. Here's a save point in a secret area. To access it, you need to kick the steel grate and crawl in there. This particular way of kicking, unsurprisingly, is not explained anywhere. To do this, you need to hold down while kicking. Pick up a lever arm and find the correct place to use it. This activates a few rotating platforms nearby. This looks like a very dangerous spot and, what do you know? It is very dangerous. For some reason there's a random cinematic camera angle whenever the game thinks you can make a jump there. This actually makes the jump so much harder and it's so easy to botch the jump. There's also a fire spell crystal nearby, but I'm not feeling like risking it. Return to the so-called main hub area and take the new route of floating platforms we unlocked. This time there are 2 spiders waiting us, and I decide to ignore them. In the next area we meet a single butcher who runs off and brings along several friends. Let's get on with it. The basic enemies are beginning to feel very easy to kill and our character is strong. Did you see the blue weapon shooting multiple projectiles with one shot? I love this design that our weapon changes visually when we upgrade it enough. The feeling of progression is there, at least in some form. Our resources are getting low though. There's a lot of green ammo to use, but the green one isn't very effective here. After the ambush, we come into a trap section. Rotating blades over a conveyor belt. There are small safe areas under the blades, so time your movement in order to proceed. After that, it's another death pit, and a butcher is waiting for us at the other side. What a lovely place for an enemy that has a ranged attack. I barely make the jump and the butcher is feeling very generous for not pushing me down to my death. Pull a lever and unlock one final route in the main hub area. Time to go all the way back again. Remember the spiders I left alive a while back? Yeah, they're still there and they push me back to the previous section. Good stuff. Cross the main lava area for the final time and meet a new enemy. A big dangerous gunner that is fast, bulky and deals heavy damage. The grey weapon works wonders against them, but unfortunately I run out of grey ammo quickly, so I have to improvise. These gunners always drop a grey ammo pickup, which is a good design considering that grey ammo is very uncommon at this point and these gunners are weak to that weapon type. These are the red spiders. They're exactly the same as the previous spiders, except they can poison you. This area is all about stepping stone traps and those big gunners. One of the gunners drop a key we need. Nearby lies a secret area, so let's check it out. This is once again a must-find secret because there's a lever that unlocks the way forward. If you have to find it, why it is considered a secret? The next section is like a bonus area. It has a multiple number of boxes that you need to push around to make a bridge to access a secret stash of items. This is completely optional, but if you're feeling like having some extra rewards, then you should do it, and I want them. Due to the slow nature of pushing, this takes me a good 5 minutes or so. The puzzle is very easy itself, but it's a long one. And in addition, I screw up the puzzle by pushing the last box to the stairs, and you absolutely cannot push the boxes up the stairs. Even though I know I have screwed it up, I attempt the jump in vain, so no extra pickups for me. The level nears its end because the boss is here. Meet the head chef of the kitchen. He is mechanically very much the same as the butchers previously. The boss cannot be damaged with normal weapons or spells, so there's a gimmick involved again. The idea is to lure the boss to the rotating blades in the middle. When he crosses the middle section, he takes damage, so we need to repeat this many times. The boss doesn't put up any challenge at all, so it's just a matter of endurance. It's a boring boss that takes about 8 minutes from me. Take the final jump off the conveyor belt and finish the level.
I didn't know what experiments I had been subjected to, but I felt I had enough energy to reach my crew, and I hoped that they had managed to find the green pearl.
Wanna guess who makes his escape again? The captain breaks free quite effortlessly and reaches the outside area. Next up is the 6th or the 7th level, depending on how you count it. Welcome to the pools. This is the water level I joked about previously. Maybe we will get those snow and fire levels too. A new enemy, a fishman, which is really a basic enemy we've seen many times before, but it has a new skin. They are very tanky and are able to take many hits, which is a problem because I'm running short of ammunition and I need to start preserving them somehow. Very early on we come to a room with a small fountain. Locked and no keyhole, what the heck? We need to find a way to open the gate. The statue cannot be pushed or destroyed. In order to progress, you have to find a breakable wall nearby, and by turning a valve there, the flow of water stops and we can push the statue to unlock the gate. More branching paths and we come into a pool with fireflies that cannot be damaged. Fortunately, they do low damage and we can basically ignore them. One of the paths takes us to a chasm with small platforms. The game throws us a surprise enemy behind a corner and it knocks me off the platform to my death. Next time I'll pop on a fire shield spell in advance to deal with that enemy. In this area we find some ammo, a green upgrade and a key to progress forward. Time to backtrack again to the beginning. And another chasm to cross. At this point of the game, it's very unlikely that you're going to die to common enemies. There are so many instant death pits that you're forced to journey through. The game basically just takes advantage of its biggest flaws, which are the controls and the camera angles. These are the deadly sins of a 3D PlayStation 1 game. Many 3D games of the PlayStation 1 era have jank in either or both of those areas. Even some of the good games, Metal Gear Solid has some stiffness in its controls, Tomb Raider has issues with its camera controls, Croc, Medieval, Armored Core, even they are not perfect. O.D.T is full of jank in both of those areas and it takes advantage of them to the fullest. Eventually we reach a room with a prisoner. He needs our help, so we free him by pulling a lever nearby. It turns out that we are in need of his help too. When we free him, he begins patrolling around 2 levers. We need to ask him to use those levers. When he uses a lever, one of the 2 cages nearby is lowered, we can hop on and take those items we need. I do think this is a good idea, but the execution isn't strong. How do we ask him to use a lever? Hug the closed gate, press square, and then he acts. The result depends on where the prisoner is when you ask him to help. If he is not close to a lever, nothing happens. So you need to wait for him to reach a lever and then ask him. Solving how this works requires some thinking outside the box, but eventually I figure it out and unlock the way forward. Puzzle time. It's a pool with 12 platforms. When you step on a platform, it lowers and changes the amount of water pressure. The platforms are identical, so it's a trial and error puzzle. Only one platform per row can be pressed down, so in order to find the correct solution, we need to push 4 platforms underwater. Here's a water beast that shoots bursts of projectiles. They are very easily evaded, but if you feel like killing them, the grey weapon destroys them. Pick up a spanner and move forward. Time for a cruel trap. It's a narrow corridor with 2 trident traps and a death pit. In addition, there's a fishman waiting on the other side. Let's try to take the fishman out beforehand, and it's hard because the fully upgraded blue weapon does not shoot straight anymore. Abandon the idea and try to make the jump. That was close. Fix the machine with the spanner we found and use the machine to extinguish some flames blocking our way. Find the key behind the flames and open up the gate behind the extinguisher. That area was also considered a secret, by the way. Time for another puzzle. Here we need to use 5 levers and 5 valves to control the flow of the water. The goal is to direct the water flow towards the wheel below. A solid puzzle in my opinion. Puzzles in the game have mostly been enjoyable, so good job Psygnosis France. More water beasts and water wheels. Here we need to break the first water wheel to release a piece of it. Again, it requires a bit more thinking outside the box to figure this out. The chunk floats forwards and we need to open the gate blocking its way. Open the gate and push the floating piece to a broken water wheel to fix it magically and unlock the way forward. Very soon I take a drop to a surprise spike trap, get a game over screen, and I have to play quite a lot of the level again. The last part of the level is a gauntlet of fishmen. I really don't have enough resources to deal with them, so I'm trying all kinds of mine tactics, but they don't really work too well. Eventually I decide to skip the enemies and explore the place while dodging their shots. Oh look, a container piece! It is almost complete! Heal up, skip all the enemies, and move forward. It's actually boss time already, and the game gives us a save point before it. That's strange. Jump on a small raft, and I really hope I don't have to fight the boss here. Surprise, surprise, I do have to fight the boss here. It's a water dragon that breathes fire and tries to whack you off. It can be damaged with normal weapons, but it's hard to find the correct timing for it to take damage. This boss is hard because it's very easy to fall off the raft, and that's what I do multiple times. I guess this is the reason why there's a save point just before the boss. The sadist of the team made the boss, but the gentle Frenchman adjusted it a little bit to help the player out. It's a boss about managing your resources and your position. Eventually it goes down and the raft takes us to the end. It's not over yet. The water dragon returns and you've just managed to defeat its other head. Time for the second head. This one's a gimmick boss again. You need to take advantage of its own attacks. You need to direct its missile attacks towards the 4 pillars in the room in order to damage the boss. When the pillar is damaged 3 times, it falls on the boss. In addition to normal missile attacks, it also breathes fire and shoots a very accurate homing missile which turns around corners very well, so you cannot just hang out behind a pillar. You need to keep moving. Unsurprisingly, the true danger is falling off the arena, and the homing missile is very capable of knocking you off. The water dragon is easily the hardest boss in the game. There's really nothing bad to be said about the boss itself, but why are both of the boss arenas so small? After the boss, we find a pearl, but this doesn't look like the green pearl. Finally, we meet our captain again, and he congratulates us on finding all the gas needed. He also confirms our suspicions that we have found the fake pearl. The captain beckons us to follow him to the crew. We follow the captain, and a cutscene.
The crew was waiting at the top, ready to leave. I hoped the purple pearl would hold similar powers to the green. How could I have known its poisonous influence would make the epidemic worse? Now, as I write these lines, I know I am riddled with a disease, and I feel so ashamed that I fled the tower before discovering the secret it conceals.
The credits roll and we have reached a bad ending. In order to truly beat the game, we need to collect a sufficient amount of gas and finish the container to the green pearl. We have missed a piece of the container somewhere in the game. There is a single piece of the container in every level except in the tutorial. By double checking my footage, I realized that I did not find the container piece in the kitchen level. This is exactly why you should have multiple save slots when playing old games. This allows me to go back to the kitchen and find that piece. We're not done yet. The missing container piece is located in the watery part of the kitchen. There is a breakable wall that I've completely missed, so it's another secret area that you have to find. Well, a good thing is that I get to try the box puzzle again, and this time I make sure I succeed. Time for the water level. This time I'm prepared. No more playing around, more ammo, more extra lives and more energy pickups. During the water flow puzzle I run into a bug. This solution is exactly the same that I did last time, but now it doesn't work, so what gives? This time the correct solution is to flip the first and the last ladle so it looks like this. This is just plain silly. Let's kill the dragon again. This time there's no need to preserve ammo. First form down, time for the second one, and it's dead. D-E-A-D. And now our container is complete. By collecting at least 30 bottles of gas and finishing the container, the captain instructs us to keep on exploring the tower to find the true pearl, and now we're able to enter the true final level.
As I climbed, I found my prison cell companion alive. I was about to discover the secret. Ah, Push, the embodiment of evil. His soul had been locked inside two pearls, green for good, purple for evil. Convinced that I possessed the pearls, the deviant became furious with me.
We have finally revealed the secret behind the pearls, and the captain flings his furious cellmate off the cliff. Snap, crackle and pop. It feels like we should know something more about the story before playing O.D.T. But to my knowledge, O.D.T is a brand new IP and there's no previous material of its universe and lore. There's a short introduction in the manual, but it really doesn't do much. Nothing is really explained and the game keeps introducing us to new names quite frequently. It feels rushed and most likely this was one of the least focused aspects in development alongside music. This is the true final level of the game. Welcome to the temple. It is a medieval styled level that cranks the amount of instant deaths to 11 or even 12. I also stumbled across a sound bug which doubles my footsteps. This may be due to emulation. We drop down to a pool and meet a new enemy. A spellcaster who doesn't feel too strong for a change. The green weapon seems to work well. This enemy shoots magical projectiles and can make itself invulnerable for a short time. This enemy is also capable of healing itself. We find a lava pit with a locked gate. We need to cross the pit with this floating platform. Pick up a small key, miss a jump and take a dip into lava. Good old instant death. Take the platform all the way to the end of its route to find a save point with a lever that opens a gate close by. Beyond the lava pool lies an altar which has some fresh blood in it. We will most likely come back here later with an item of some sort. In the next room we meet a familiar enemy, the Spirit. Pop up a fire shield spell to kill it and receive a holy stone. Very soon we find more of these spirits and a closed gate which our small key cannot open. Wouldn't it be just swell if we were able to identify visually what kind of a key a gate needs? So there is only a single level in the game which has doors and gates that actually have an indicator on them. One of the spirits is guarding a mural and a pedestal where we place the holy stone. I have no idea what this unlocked, but we will continue forward. Time to grill the rest of the spirits with our fire shield. Open a sarcophagus level below, wake up the spirit, kill it, and find another small key. Backtrack to the bloody altar and unlock a gate that leads to a big open room with few spellcasting enemies. Now that our character has become as strong as he can, these enemies are very easy to deal with even outnumbered. We still gain experience points even though we are at maximum level. If our experience bar fills up, we gain an extra life. This is a good thing because there's never enough extra lives in this game. Behind these enemies and a locked gate lies a heart that we pick up. This heart needs to be taken to that bloody altar we've seen a couple of times. The statue in front of the altar reveals a mandatory secret room with some ammunition, an extra life, and a key. This key opens the gate in the room with multiple spirits. We meet yet again a new enemy, a skeleton. To be honest, I would have expected a skeleton enemy way earlier in the opening levels, but now we have our bony friends. These enemies work exactly like the blue gremlins in the forest level. They will come back to life if they are not killed with the yellow weapon. The skeletons are a very weak enemy at this point of the game. Beyond lies a checkpoint and a great chasm we need to cross. The platforms over the chasm are so tiny that each and every one of your jumps are a nightmare. I can see an upgrade pickup across the chasm, but since I'm already at max level it's not worth it, so I take the path of least resistance and I hope I don't have to go in there later. Next up is an instant death gauntlet. This part reminds me yet again of Tomb Raider. I'd really appreciate the precision of Tomb Raider here. Beyond the pitfalls lie the swinging axes above a lava pit. These axes seem to have their hitboxes in front of them, and if you get hit, you'll most likely fall off and lose a life. Dying anywhere in this gauntlet is a crushing punishment, because you are sent back to the chasm and you have to do the instant death gauntlet again. Unsurprisingly, I die multiple times here, especially when learning the axes, and eventually I decided to load a save and do the most of the stage again. By hugging the walls, I scout a secret area which has a lever that opens a gate somewhere. In this very same secret area, we find the real green pearl. I still have to wonder, if a room is meant to be found in order to beat the game, why is it considered a secret? The gauntlet continues. It manages to surprise me and I take a fall to my death. That means a trip back to the chasm and redoing the gauntlet yet again. We find the gate that we opened at the green pearl and the gauntlet is finally over. In the next area, we are greeted by the familiar big gunners. Beat them using the grey weapon, like we did in the kitchen. Thanks to the upgrades we found to the grey weapon, this weapon starts to pack some serious punch. There are multiple gunners here, so time to clean the house to reach another safe spot, which is a huge relief. No more redoing that gauntlet. Time for another huge chasm with floating platforms. Beyond the darkness lies a couple of gunners waiting to gun you down from the platform. Now this is just plain evil designed to hide dangerous enemies beyond the draw distance that are more than capable to knock you off from a platform. The designers really knew what sucked the most in the game. Thankfully, I have gained plenty of resources due to exploring and rationing my ammunition, so I can snipe the gunmen manually. The blue weapon shines again. One thing that I really like about the blue weapon is that it changes visually when you upgrade it. The grey weapon also gains more width to its beams the more powerful it becomes. Too bad this visual change is not utilized with green or yellow. They stay the same no matter the power level. Beyond the chasm, we enter the boss area. Here's the promised true final mega boss of the game, O.D.T. I have no idea what he's doing here because he was supposed to be defeated long time ago and his soul was trapped in the pearls. Nonetheless, O.D.T attacks you with lightning, miniature eyes and missile spells. He also whacks you if you're too close to him. It seems he is invincible, so there has to be a gimmick. We have to use the green pearl to the platform in the middle and shoot the glass windows in the four corners of the room to activate the pearl. This causes O.D.T to transform into his second form. Finally, his health bar appears, so we can actually damage him. He still cannot be damaged directly, so there's another gimmick involved. When the boss transformed, the room did too. You need to shoot the mirrors with the blue weapon to reflect your projectiles to the boss. An easy way to beat the boss is to use the ghost spell if you found it. This spell makes you completely invisible and the boss has no means to damage you. The boss falls quite quickly. Now this was a pretty weak final boss. Defeating our push makes a few platforms descend from above. Unsurprisingly, the jank of these platforms actually makes me fall and I have to do the boss again. Oh, god damn it. Now that we know what to do, this boss is even easier to deal with and it goes down in a minute. Let's try those platforms again. Yet again, every single jump is a butt clencher all the way to the end. Further above we retrieve the pearl and continue forward. On the top there is a room with a hot air balloon, a trunk key and 5 chests. These chests contain cheat codes and you can use the trunk key only once to unlock one of them. This would encourage the player to do replays of the game in order to discover all the cheat codes and therefore to extend the lifespan of the game. But to be honest, in 98 you could just write a code to a paper, load your previous save, beat the boss again, open a different chest and repeat until you have all the codes. Touching the hot air balloon triggers the ending cutscene, and the game is beaten.
At last, victorious and free. Our comrade reached us at the top of the tower. For our part, we had managed to fix the Nautiflyus. The green pearl was so powerful, we cured the deadly epidemic in just a few hours. Our mission had been a success. We could scarcely believe it was over. I had even prepared a small firework to celebrate. I knew things would never be quite the same again. I didn't mention it, but I could feel a new power coursing through my veins.
So, how was it? It was very ambitious. It tried to incorporate so many things from multiple types of games, which led to underperforming or even blatantly failing in most of them. It has charm and there are plenty of good ideas, but the execution is lacking. It had the elements to be something big, but the end product turned out to be a very brutal experience. To be honest, O.D.T had a lot of potential, but the developers were not able to deliver it as they probably intended. It certainly gives me a feelings of a modern early access game or a beta version. Considering all the games released in 98, O.D.T really had no chances and it most likely died trying. It was also a very rare sight in demo discs. O.D.T was included in a Psygnosis interactive demo disc and a promotional demo disc distributed at Toys R Us in the US. Both of the demo discs were US only. The difficulty between the stages is very odd, with steep spikes happening already in the Refinery level. The game is definitely not a very linear experience in terms of challenge and difficulty. The early game can feel very tedious and very overwhelming when your character is still weak, and the level design gets more punishing by increasing the amount of instant death traps. To me, the game starts normally, then it quickly ramps up in difficulty, then it chills out again, and then it raises the bar in the last level. Backtracking is something you do a lot in most of the levels, and it's executed tediously. It does make the areas feel connected to each other, which is a good thing, but the distances between are lengthy. The teleport spell only warps you back to a previous checkpoint, so to take full advantage of the spell, you would need to skip checkpoints to maximize the usage of the spell. I'd suggest that you could choose between the discovered checkpoints when you've upgraded the teleport spell to the max, which is level 2. This would do wonders. O.D.T has this certain feeling of inconsistency. Why is the refinery level the only level that has clear indicators in locked doors? Why are some of the required keys hidden sporadically? Why are some of the places considered a secret even though it is not hidden in any way? Why are mandatory items and triggers located in actual secrets? Secrets in video games should be extra areas that a keen player can find for extra rewards. The balance of the characters is questionable too. Some characters excel in the most useful weapons, such as the blue weapon, and that matters a lot when the number of enemies gets greater and their defenses get better. Some of the spells are very powerful, and with them you can achieve self-sustainability, and that's a big thing considering that you are constantly starved of health and mana pickups. Most of the damaging spells are not very good, but some of the utility spells are very strong. From the 16 spells in the game, about 3 of them are overpowered and about 3 of them are useful, rest of them not so good. So, if your character does not do well in certain weapons or spells overall, you're going to handicap your experience and you will most likely have a much more worse time with this game. All the characters begin with different inventories. For example, Julia Chase starts with a compass, which may have been helpful in the refinery level's confusing map. In the end, I just did not know where the north was. So, what about that psyche? Apparently every level has a hidden psyche piece somewhere, and in order to access a secret level, you have to find them all. This secret level is an in-game iteration of the Psygnosis France office, where they developed this game. This level is hidden somewhere in the temple level. Sounds pretty cool to me, but in this playthrough I did not find them all. If I had to take a guess, that level is most likely hidden beyond the huge chasm of death in the temple, because why not? Maybe the developers just wanted to make a really hard game for the true hardcore gamers. The name of the game itself surely hints in that direction. Maybe it was the game itself that you are meant to escape from and not the Forbidden Zone. Well, we in Europe had no chance of escaping to begin with, only the North Americans did. All jokes aside, O.D.T never gained any recognition whatsoever and was forgotten. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, drop a comment and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, take care.